Hello there, what is going on, everyone? We have a very cool box to open up today. We are going to be looking at Dropfleet Commander 2.0. This is a pre-release box. We're going to get a early look at the latest from Dropfleet Commander. If you guys are fans of spaceship games that I've covered on this channel in the past, games like Star Wars X-Wing, Star Wars Armada, this is a very cool universe that TT Combat has built, and this is a whole new edition of the game Dropfleet Commander that is coming out very soon. Big thanks to TT Combat for sending this out. We are going to look at all of this. We're going to put these ships together. We're going to look at the sprues, but we're just going to show you everything that's coming in the box here. So we've got quite a few of these. I'll open these up. We'll take a look at just kind of how they look on the frame here, and we're going to go through everything else that comes in here too. So we have there's a whole new faction that's going to be represented here in this box, as well as enough for a two-player game, which is pretty exciting. The instructions for these are online, so we're gonna get into these, and it looks like they've updated their material since 1.0 a little bit. I think it's a different type of plastic, may be a little easier to work with, because I did have some. This looks like a UCM ship, and they even have the little TT Combat logo here on the frame, which is very cool. If you guys are new here to the channel, we do talk a lot about Star Wars tabletop games. We have a giveaway that's running through the end of the month. There is just a little bit of time left to enter to win that. You have to just be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. That's for a $50 Amazon gift card. So we're going to look at all of these sprues. They are pretty cool. We've got some info here. Well, look at this. Well, we got all kinds of good groovy stuff in here. All right. So first off, we've got some dice, some smaller D6s. We have some ship bases, it looks like. Let's take a look at the ship bases. This is pretty cool stuff. So these are acrylic. I don't know if this peels off or not. But yeah, so we've got range lines in here. We've got our full arc, and then also more of a narrow arc that are in there as well. So that's cool that is all printed on. It's going to help us to be able to draw attack lines. We've got some small bases and some larger bases. We also have these rods that are going to be able to go in here. Let me see. Oh, there we go. All right, so they're going to go in. All right, so they're going to go in kind of like that to hold our ships up. So we've got quite a few of those in here in this box, and plus some of these pieces as well. And we're going to keep going. Let's see what else we have in here. We've got a rule book. Now, this is really cool. This is a fairly thin rule book, which means it's not going to be super, super heavy, which I like. I think this is the size of this rule book is pretty cool, because it does seem like it's not necessarily going to take you 10 years to learn the game and to learn the second edition, which is cool. Plus, there is QR codes for additional rules and lore and resources, which is very cool. One of the cool things about Dropfleet Commander is that it's not necessarily played in deep space. A lot of times you're fighting over points of interest on planets, cities, and things like that. Hence the name Dropfleet. You're a fleet that comes in. They're trying to drop off troops on the ground. You're trying to land ground troops such that they can take cities and fly and establish air superiority over some of these. And one of the things that looks like we have in here are some of the terrain pieces to mark your cities. So, and the cool thing is, if you have existing playmats and maybe you don't have too many space playmats, is you can use existing playmats and play over those. So we've got some cardboard pieces in here. This one looks kind of like wreckage. We've got maybe this is like debris. So we've got some deep space stuff, and then we also have some that look like they're cities, as seen from very, very high up. If you were to pull out some maps, which is also pretty cool. So we have quite a few of those. So we have a lot of different objectives, things that we can do with that. We also have some of these space stations. This is a thinner cardboard, but it's still thick enough to be used for gameplay. So that's pretty cool. And then we have some token sheets as well. We've got, oh, look at this. There's all kinds of tokens in here for what I'm assuming these are mostly ground troops. And again, I think you want a lot of your ground stuff to be kind of flat on the ground, so this way ships can kind of fly over and it doesn't interfere too much, which is very cool. And then, of course, upgraded. I think these are upgrades for cities. I'm not sure exactly what all of the tokens do or what they're for yet, but this is very cool. This is very cool. And I have only played Dropfleet Commander, the original version, briefly, and it was just enough to kind of get a rough overview of the gameplay, but I didn't get that deep into it, and so I'm really excited to learn more with the second edition. So we have a fast play ship for the bioficers, I believe is how the actual pronunciation. Although it does look like officer, but there's only one F. So it's not officer, it's bioficers. So these are the different types of ships they have. These guys are really cool, and the paint scheme that they have on here is very interesting in that it almost looks like they have solar panels kind of built into the ships. I'm not sure if that's part of the lore or not yet, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. But I'm liking like the red and gold bits there. So it's I like the color scheme that they have going on with these guys. It's very cool looking. But they also have a very kind of solar panel, kind of thin, like sheet, like blade kind of look to some of their ships, which is very interesting here. And then we have some of these smaller ones that have a slightly different design. But this is a fast play sheet. So this is got basically all of the stats for I think the ships that are coming here in this starter. And then we also have a UCM fast play sheet as well. And now, if memory serves, there's lots of different ways that you can build this type of ships. You can build them and configure them a lot of different ways. And this is, I think they've chosen a couple kind of pre-built types of ships. Then you're just going to run these for your first game. And so that's it's pretty cool. This is a little bit less list building you have to do while you're in the middle of diving in. And I know that can be a very intimidating process, is when you're learning a brand new game and then you also have to build a list. It's hard to know like what's going to be a good list or what's going to be a bad list, and having something like this for your first game is going to be really, really helpful. Just to you don't have to worry about building a list for your first game. Just run this. Just run these guys you have in front of you. And I think that's pretty good. And it even gives you a count of you should have one of these, one of these, one of these, two of these, two of these, and two of these. So I like that they've done that and kind of put this all together. And then we also have a fast play sheet with some references as well. And then I think beyond that, it's all about the plastic. So let's go ahead and put some of these ships together and get a closer look at them. So an interesting thing is I am assembling one of the Bioficer frigates right now. This is the first one I'm putting together. And they have these this solar panel tech. And there's a lot of different options for them. The instructions talk about how you can do a lot of different things with the solar panels. But the ships themselves kind of look like a rifle almost. There's only two parts here, so there's not a whole lot of super tiny parts. It's basically the body here, and then this little front end section for this particular. And this one is with the Fulcrum frigate. But what's cool is that you have these solar panels, and they have these two little kind of little nipples, so to speak, that can go into right there, and then we're going to do that on both sides. But they're very modular, in that you could do a lot of interesting things with them. You could go up and down, and of course there's different presets for specific ship types. There's some that are this way, there's some that are that way, and all this other. So yeah, and so if we're trying to do the Fulcrum frigate, we can do them sort of that way, so that they'll come up like so and look like that. Although the instructions have, which are online, but I printed them out. And for the Fulcrum frigate, this shows them it that way. So, although this one is the Forrestal frigate. So, yeah, so you have some options. And basically, the only real difference as far as the appearance is whether you do them up and down or left and right, so to speak. So you have some pretty cool options. They're pretty modular looking ship design. All right, so we've got ships assembled here, and we're just going to take a look at them. Now, this is I got two of the UCM ships here. I've got one of the cruisers, and then I've also got one of the smaller frigates kind of set up. And one of the things that's really great about these ships is that they're very dynamic in how you put them together. Each one has kind of a central piece, and then you have different things you can put underneath here. Like for this is this larger, I believe this is a Cobra heavy laser that goes under here, but there's two different little kind of connection points, and we can put individual guns down there, or surface facing cannons. Same thing on the sides here, this particular piece here. And I've got a couple other examples that I will kind of showcase some of the 1.0 ships, some of the older ships that I've had from previous Dropfleet, just to kind of showcase the different ways that they can go together. There's a lot of different options, and on these like on this frame, there's so many things that you can do. There's a lot of different extra pieces. So each one is kind of like a universal frame that can be built for just about any type of ship. And that's kind of how they do these. This one here is, I believe, the Toulon frigate. And these are quite simple, too, in that they're only two pieces. You have a front and a back, and you have different combinations that you can make of frigate. They're with different fronts and different backs, which is very cool. Now, when we look at our Biophyser ships, one of the things that I thought was very interesting about this is that there's a lot of different ways that they can go together. The Biophysers are largely very, very different in that they do kind of look like they are basically flying rifles, but they have this modular system where all of these solar panels can kind of go in just about anywhere in any of these little divots in here. Now, I talked about this before, but there's other pieces that can go in there as well. This larger, I think this one is the Comet Cruiser. This one has like extra little divots here that we put extra guns and exhausts and things like that in. Also, it wasn't part of the actual build instructions, but like these, I believe these are meant to come out, but there are like prism cells or lander cells that go in here and that can like attach right there. And so like it's kind of interesting because in the photo for it, they show it with the prism cell in there, but that's not part of the build instructions. Don't show you to build the prism cell in there. And then some of the photos, they don't have it in here. So I think it's kind of an option on whether you kind of build it like this or have the like a cell in there, and maybe it's like a detachment that can be dropped off. I'll have to kind of learn a little bit more about how these ships actually deliver a payload or work with this. I don't know if I'm supposed to glue this part on or not, but this was a whole separate piece, and it looks like you have a lot of different options. These are completely customizable with all of the solar panels. And so one of the things I think is important, though, is if you get this and you're building these, you don't necessarily have to make it look exactly like that. What's more important about this are the core pieces, like the front and then that gun apparatus on top, not necessarily the placement of the solar panels. You can put these upside down, you can put smaller ones and bigger ones, and so on and so forth. You can really customize these guys an awful lot. Like I could have put these things like sideways or down and more horizontal instead of vertical. I could have done a lot with that. So very cool ships. Let's do a little comparison. All right, so we've got some older classic 1.0 ships here next to the new 2.0. Obviously, this one's not painted yet. These are I've got a couple of these here standing by that are all painted up already. I kind of went with, instead of the classic kind of black and white, I went with more of a gray and blue general color scheme on these. I have some older videos where I painted them. There's also a lot of older photos on like social media and stuff like that. Maybe I'll relink some of those, but these were a blast to paint. And for large part, I think everything is mostly the same. It does look like there's slight little design tweaks. Like I think the front of this one seems a little bit longer than here, so maybe they made some slight design tweaks. But overall, still very cool. Still going to probably paint these up in the same color scheme and similar stuff with the smaller ships as well. But yeah, the big difference is the bases have changed. That's the most significant difference. You had these little movable pieces before with old 1.0, and they were all just black. I painted the blue stuff on there. But the problem with the old bases that it was really hard to move them, especially on the larger bases. It was hard to get in there, and you had these little pegs that would count the hit points and stuff like that in there, and it was very difficult to move. And now you just have a single piece, and this is blue film that's on here, and if it comes off, it'll just be a clear base with those lines on. So I like that. I like the simplicity of it. And of course, you could, if you were, some people would mark with pegs or different color beads in there to say like what group they were in. So you might want to do something like that. If you happen to have some like a bead kit or whatever, it's not necessarily a bad idea to kind of mark them like, oh, all the blue beads are going together. So, but yeah, just a kind of a showcase of how they can come up painted. It was very, very cool. I'll probably be doing some more painting videos. I might give some of the newer ships a slightly different color scheme. But the big thing is the Bioficer is a whole new faction, so I got to figure out what color scheme to go here. You know, if you got any ideas, let me know in the comments. Maybe just classic, like, you know, red and black like they have here with highlights of gold. It could be pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think. All right, so that is a quick look at the Dropfleet Commander 2nd Edition preview kit. This is a pre-release for 2.0 that TG Combat was happy to send out to us, so we're really happy to take a look at it. Stay tuned for more. Again, we do talk a lot about spaceship games, miniatures games, tabletop games on the channel, so hopefully you stick around. We are going to be doing more with Dropfleet Commander 2.0 in the future, so click that subscribe button. Also, you can learn more if you want to check out TT Combat and learn more about Dropfleet Commander. Check the link in the video description below. I want to thank you guys so much. Again, big thanks to TT Combat. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. The spice must flow, so say we all. And party on, dudes. And as always, always wash your socks.